Dungeon Crawl Classics: How to Make a Level 0 Character in Fantasy Grounds. Roll an amazing starting character here in Dungeon Crawl Classics. So what we're going to do now is we'll go ahead and pull up a fresh sheet here. So this is how easy it is to make a character in Dungeon Crawl Classics in Fantasy Grounds. And what we'll do is this little edit button right here. You know what? Let's step back even a little further. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you load up the Dungeon Crawl Classics rule set is go to the library, go to your modules. Even if you're a game master, I would say probably go ahead and load up the player's guide. That way you make sure that your players are going to have access if you're making pre-generated characters. So you just want to make sure that you have clicked on load, and that's loaded up. And let's see here. All right. So we are going to go back through what we're going through. For Dungeon Crawl Classics and generating a level 0 character here. This is done in the old style of character generation, where you roll 3d6 for each stat. Now, you could go ahead and just roll your 3d6 right on the table like that. Or you can take the easy way, and this little button right here, give that a little click, and then click on the star, and bam, all your stats are magically populated. And this honestly may seem like a kind of a terrible character with a negative, but it's not bad. This is a level 0 character. So you're generally running more than one level 0 character at a time through a character creation funnel. What happens here is that you'll have these characters. You don't die during character creation like you would in Traveler, just to address something Boomer had brought up here in chat. So we don't have to worry about that, but you can wind up with some very unbalanced characters that come out of this process. But the funnel is there to try and help eliminate those who wouldn't survive in a normal adventuring life. All right, so we did get our stats here, and our mini sheet, if you notice, had also updated. This is something I hadn't played with, so I was kind of curious to see how this would turn out. So we'll go ahead and we'll go back and we would click on our tables button right here. We'll bring up our tables. I've already typed in OCC because the next thing you do in Dungeon Crawl Classics after generating your stats is you go ahead and you can grab yourself an occupation. And that's a randomly assigned occupation. So we take our table, we roll on our occupation, our results come out in the chat. And, oh, we got a confidence artist. All right. So what I was suggesting that you do here is use the result that's in the chat, because that will let you just click right on it and let you use the great drag and drop functionality here. And look at that. We have an occupation now. We're a confidence artist. And then for the items that you get for character creation, they are going to come through in this way here. So we get a dagger. So we're going to open up our trained weapon just to make sure it loads up right. And then we're going to drag and drop it onto equipment there. So we've got a dagger, and we've got a quality cloak. And you know, that seems to make sense. You're a con man. So what you're looking to do is sit there, and you need to be able to dress a little bit better. So that way you can mingle with that that crowd that is more of an elite type of crowd. All right. And then finally, you always get some random piece of equipment. And in this case, it's not terribly random, and it is fairly useful, an oil flask. So that's our equipment. In this case, we didn't have a luck modifier. But, you know, we're still going to roll, make our lucky sign roll. So if this were a warrior and they had a luck modifier, this would add into their critical hit table here. That's a little bit extra bonus. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that we click in the lucky roll field. And we will drag and drop this from the chat there because there's not an actual modification function that happens with it. So we'll go ahead and drop that on in. And let's call him Tom. And basically, Tom is looking not half bad here for a randomly generated level 0. And just like with any other rule set, if you want to assign a portrait to it, then you just go ahead and grab a portrait. We'll just grab some fantasy portraits here. Sure, Tom will be that type of look there. And that sets him up on that. And then we can always go down to our mini sheet where Tom is sitting, and we've got our actions here, which is a dagger, which is a D20 roll on that. And there we go. Let's take it slow, and that way I have a chance to learn a bit more before and trying to figure out some more stuff on how to do this. All right, so once again, very easy. Just down here in the lower corner, click the star. And this is generally what I'm used to with Dungeon Crawl Classics. Is, you know, we've got a negative on our strength modifier. So absolutely, yes, that will affect melee damage, things as such. Our armor class, as you notice, increased because we have a positive agility modifier. You have these 3 saves, and these are the only saves you need to worry about. Occupation here, too. All right, and so we got another confidence artist. Let's go ahead and give him a chaotic alignment. And basically, you have 3 alignments in Dungeon Crawl. What a character funnel is it's where you have a bunch of characters that are being run through a scenario. And what you're doing is you're weeding out the characters that don't survive. And out of the characters that you generate for the purpose of the funnel, you'll choose one to be able to play. And maybe if you have more than one survive, it may be that you hand that off to another person to play, or you just keep them as a backup character. Dungeon Crawl Classics is a high mortality type of rule. So what winds up happening is that during this character funnel, you could, conceivably have a full party survive, or you might not. It's possible to have a total party wipe that happens just during the funnel. Sometimes the dice aren't kind in this game, and they do encourage you to roll out in front of people. So that way they can see that, it's an honest result in front of them. Matter of like, if you do have a character with lower end stats that does survive a funnel, then you've managed to do it through playing smart. And maybe you knew when to hide, or were just plain lucky with a few. It's the interesting part of the funnel concept is that, a lot of people might take the strategy where in this case we've got Tom who has that 18 in luck, and that's a good super, really maximal stat that you can get. So, it might be that I take, Tom doesn't have bad all around stats either, to be honest. But, it may be that I would choose to sacrifice Tom in a situation, or I may sacrifice the other confidence man that we've got here, who has lesser stats, or figure out a way to do that. Sometimes you can't. Like, since Robert's a soldier, he's going to be, trying to melee a fair bit. And it's very possible that, Robert may, wind up getting killed by being hit by a monster that he wasn't able to take out in one hit. Or some other circumstance if a creature gets better initiative than him. and is able to hit and kill him first. So there are all sorts of ways that this can happen. In the funnel that we got to play in, instead of us making multiple characters like I'm doing right here tonight, we wound up each playing one level 0 character. And what I kind of found with it is that you tried to survive for as long as you possibly could with that single character. I pretty much had like lower end stats where I had minuses to just about everything that I tried to do. But I still thought it was fun. I really think it's a cool way to have a character and you develop a bit of a story. So, you know how in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition you have background. Instead of just sitting there and choosing this background for yourself, you've essentially gone out and you've earned this background through an adventure. That's a bit of a pre-adventure and gives you your story and how you got into the adventuring life. Does that cover your question there? But generally, yeah, lower end characters tend not to survive a funnel as well as ones who are blessed with good rolls. But yeah, this is how easy and quick it can be to generate characters here and in Fantasy Grounds. For I'm thinking about it, probably wouldn't be a bad idea to at least name this guy too. Let's try Charles. Let's go ahead and give him his inventory anyway while we're here. Oh, other thing about this. So there are other races aside from human. Everything so far that we've rolled has been a human. And this kind of throws back to original D&D's flavor of, you know, class could also be your race. So your occupation in this case, since you're not starting with a class, opens those possibilities for you. So let's go ahead and we'll drag this table open a bit more to make it easier to read for people. And you'll notice, basically, if you want to play an elf, and your game master's not letting you pick an occupation, then you would have to roll one of these non-human occupations. Like especially for an elf, you'd want to roll the elven, get in the elven range. So you know you've got artisan, barrister, chandler, falconer, forester, glassblower, and a navigator and a saint as occupations that would lead you into being able to be an elf class. You've also got your dwarfs here. So you got a blacksmith, chest maker, herder, miner, mushroom farmer, rat catcher, stonemason. And then the last one for a non-human is going to be a halfling. So you've got a halfling chicken butcher, halfling dyer, a halfling glove maker, halfling gypsy, halfling haberdasher, because everyone, you know, especially here, we love our hats. Halfling mariner, halfling moneylender, a halfling trader, a halfling vagrant. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting random mixed bag of what you can wind up generating here. I'm just a little disappointed that we did wind up getting almost the exact same thing here, but you know the equipment did change up on us here, so we do still have the dagger, and our trade good is our quality cloak, and then instead of oil this time we got a holy water vial. Go ahead and generate our stats here again. See, these aren't terrible stats here. Got a 15 in intellect, so he's got a +1 there. But if you notice his saves, he doesn't have any bonuses. Dungeon Crawl Classics, they definitely do lower your expectations on what'll happen and how it'll happen. But that's a-okay. In this case, we can still roll the lucky sign, but generally it has we have no luck modifier, so it's not as big a deal for us. So, if we had a +1 modifier here, it would increase our speed by like plus or minus 5 feet. But since we've got a 0, it's not going to affect. So we'll go ahead and roll our occupation here. And go ahead and roll that damage. I say damage when I mean table result. So what did we get? We got an elf this time. So we've got an elven navigator. So this character would actually be able to become an elf. Speak of the devil. All right. So we've got a short bow. And trust me, there are characters in this table who don't get access to any type of weapon to begin. Oh, and here's the great part. So the ammo for it, right? We have 1 arrow to go along with a short bow. Because that makes total sense. And then we have, as a random bit here, we have a candle. Which actually can be handy in the dungeon, if or at least a human. With the elves and improved senses, that might not be as crucial here. So elves, as a race, have vulnerabilities. So they're extremely sensitive to the touch of iron. Direct contact over prolonged periods causes burning sensation. Exposure at close distances make them uncomfortable. An iron may not wear iron armor or bear the touch of iron weapons for extended periods. Prolonged contact with iron causes 1 HP of damage per day of direct contact. So yeah, that's not the coolest of things to have. Just the hit points on these characters are also going to be kind of low. So you'll see our max hit points currently is 2 on the elf here. And, our max hit points on Chuck here is 3, or Charles. And Tom here has a max of 3. Robert got really lucky and got a max of 4 hit points. And you have creatures in these encounters that you're going up against who can do much more than 4 hit points. So you can definitely get 1 hit, 1 killed. It really is like you are playing those villagers. All right. So thank you guys for joining me tonight and taking a look. You have a great day.